I love Thor. I love the comics, I love the character, I love the way Chris Hemsworth portrays the character, and the movies are an incredibly weird bunch to say the least. The first Thor is alright, nothing special, but Asgard looked really cool. Thor the Dark World is, and I hope this is not an unpopular opinion, but not very good. What even was the story in that movie?
Jane, give me your shoe. Give me your shoe.
I am dead inside.
Thor Ragnarok is phenomenal. Honestly, one of my favorite MCU films. It's exactly what Thor should be, with the color, the humor, the story arcs, and Taika's brilliant direction. And speaking of his direction, he also happened to direct Thor Love and Thunder. And it was a Taika Waititi movie. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of reviews out there that haven't been giving this movie the most positive reactions. Like, what I would hear about the film is that it was like Ragnarok 2.0 or Ragnarok on steroids, and then when I watched it, I kind of get what they mean. The best part of the movie was Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher. You couldn't get any better than this. My only problem is that I could have used more of him, because Bale really nailed how emotionally distraught and ambiguous this villain is. I also loved seeing the Guardians again, for about a split second, but it was nice to visibly see them for a bit, especially Drax, because boy is he chunky. The movie also has some really cool action. Taika really knew how to experiment with the color and choreography in this one, and for the most part, they're very well done. Chris Hemsworth is great as always, but the one that left me shocked because of how much I enjoyed the portrayal of this character was Natalie Portman. I didn't mind Jane Foster in the first two Thor movies, but I also found her to be the love interest and nothing much. But I really like Jane Foster in this because they used a storyline that made her even more three-dimensional. Which leads me to one of the biggest issues of the movie, and that's the pacing. This movie was only an hour and 59 minutes, and it felt even shorter. This film would never slow down. I mean, I heard that Taika said that the original cut of this movie was 4 hours. I'd love to see that version. Adding 2 hours of gore development and other more serious scenes could space out the comedy and really improve the overall tone of this movie. Because the comedy is surprisingly the worst part of this film. That was the highlight of what made Ragnarok so special, and this was the element that made this movie worse. The MCU has been so reliant on this formula that at this point, you can kind of see why people have been saying why Phase 4 has been pretty directionless. It really felt like the movie was afraid to go 2 minutes without the audience laughing. I've never seen a movie trying to push comedy in non-comedic scenes more aggressively than this film. But I will say that some of the jokes can be funny. There was one joke involving Thor and his weapons, and as much as I know how predictable and stupid the joke is, I liked it because I liked the concept of it. To me, the film had interesting themes that were left unexplored. The idea of uncaring and unfit gods was shown until it's not, nor the idea of what it means to be god-worthy. Gore and his grief was touched on, but the idea behind losing faith in all gods was passed over. I would have liked to see Gore going on a rampage of actually being a god butcher. Build up the intensity of how powerful he is in battle. Jane's progression of turning into the mighty Thor and her declining physical state could have been emotional, but 1 minute before and after, you have screaming goats. There's a great movie here, but it's buried deep beneath some really awful tone issues. So I'm gonna give Thor Love and Thunder a 6 out of 10. In my eyes, Thor in Ragnarok and Infinity War are what the character should always be. And as much as I love Chris Hemsworth, this whole being oblivious to everything shtick has genuinely got to be taken down a peg.